Hello, everybody. Scott Golden here with the Pro Wrestling Logic and Superstars of Wrestling review series. We moved to the midpoint of June in 1991, June 15th to be exact. We've got the rest of the month of June here uninterrupted for Superstars episodes. We've also got close to 100 Superstars episodes up. I hope to have over 100 by the time we're done with the series. Obviously, the whole 500 episode series is not available online anywhere, otherwise, we'd be covering it in totality. But speaking of the most comprehensive audio library for a promotion, World Class has over 340 episodes there. Most comprehensive online. Speaking of comprehensive professional Bret Hart is in a enhancement talent match this week. Months away from winning the Intercontinental Championship, about 2.5 months, and really basic stuff. Back elbow by Hart, going heads up and inverted atomic drop, clothesline, and the like. Bret Hart willing to do just about anything. This is the second or third time. I think they tried a singles push with him in '88 and '89 both for a little while, and then tried it early in '91, and then, well, actually, maybe in '90, 3 years, but didn't get where they wanted with it. Backbreaker, elbow drop, and sharpshooter is your victory spot for Hart, and we move to the update area, where, in fact, that we again have the highlight of Jimmy Hart betraying Andre the Giant. Andre basically says he's going to get even with the Earthquake, even with Jimmy Hart. He never agreed to a contract. That is the post of that. Andre does not end up coming back for another match with the WWF. This is basically his swan song. He does show up at SummerSlam as a cornerman for the Bushwhackers against the Natural Disasters. Natural Disasters we'll talk about when they formulate. But anyway, Ted DiBiase in an enhancement match here goes into arm locks, hammer locks, and the behind easy stuff. Ultimately leads to a vertical suplex. DiBiase hits power slam and then hits the $1 Million Dream. Gets the victory. I'm sure he'd rather it have been Piper or Virgil. Again, doing the money in the mouth thing. Sherry Martel, aka Sensational Sherry, out there the whole time, supporting her man, as is to be expected, her teddy bear, no pun intended. Well, actually, yes, pun intended. Power and Glory yammer on about how they're the best tag team in the world. Roma basically says you'll be looking at our back. That's the only thing you know how to look at. British Bulldog says he's been undefeated, wants to get his hand on Mr. Perfect. Pretty forceful in promo here. The Mountie is out next. Mountie grabs the mic, says, I am the Mountie, and basically demands respect. Doesn't get it from the crowd, obviously. As mentioned, they eventually have to change his name and gimmick a little bit. I'm not the Mountie becomes a major thing when he's a tag guy because the Canadian Mounted Police actually did bring charges. Mountie snaps him back off the middle rope. Jimmy Hart adds to the act from a level of chaos and creativity, and also the man to hold the shock stick. Who's going to hold the shock stick for Jacques? If Jimmy Hart isn't there. Anyway, Mountie wins, gets a cravat style hold on his opponent, gets the win. Jake Roberts in the event center after he we don't know that he viewed, but anyway, after viewers see the abusive power of the Mountie using the shock stick again, we go to Jake Roberts. Jake Roberts says his snake will turn on anybody. Earthquake needs to think about that. Speaking of turn on anybody, IRS Erwin R. Shyster basically implies that all of America is tax cheats and that he will handle them as needed. Hacksaw Duggan out here, facing off against the man who used to be Ricky Hunter, the man who used to be the Gladiator. Duggan punches, kicks, body slams, and a leaping clothesline out of the opposite corner. Gets him the victory, tosses the board upside down, which I've seen him do in person and club himself with, by the way. Duggan gets a victory off that slam, etc. Anyhow, we then see Mr. Perfect make his way to the funeral parlor. I believe this is the second time we've seen this. Perfect kind of yammering on about, being a pretty big deal. Also, kind of going on and on, Bobby Heenan out there. He basically implies that he can't take Mr. Perfect as far as he wants to now that he's an official broadcast journalist. We see John Tolis, only known as the coach, makes his way out in support of Mr. Perfect and is announced as Mr. Perfect's new manager. New manager is not something the Nasty Boys need. Jimmy Hart working out just fine for them at this point in their career. They are alongside the Earthquake against the Bushwhackers and the Tugboat. So, six-man tag match here this week. Uh, really, Knobs is pretty dominant of Luke for several minutes. Butch comes in, same thing happened, only Sags takes the offense for a bit. Short knee and other basic uh, hot tag spots. Eventually, they get the hot tag. Eventually, there is a issue where the hot tag goes to the Tugboat. Tugboat comes in, Earthquake tagged in, two big men gonna go at it. But eventually, we see the Tugger get in there with none other than the Bushwhackers and uh, attack them. I will get my phone and be right back. Needless to say, the splash of one of the Bushwhackers, bit unexpected by the fans, although Jimmy Hart orchestrating the whole thing shouldn't have surprised people too terribly much. And, we find out more details in the weeks to come, but Tugboat has turned on the Bushwhackers, splashing them in the process, and fans are not happy with that. Speaking of not happy, Colonel Mustafa makes his way to the ring. Colonel Mustafa, of course, the former Iron Sheik, Adnan LKC out there, Sergeant Slaughter out there, the trio out there, but Mustafa has the match this week. Punch, kick, real basic stuff. Kick to the midsection of the young man. Mustafa thinks he looks like $1,000,000. Could barely get around in 1990. Pulls it back together a little bit here in 91 for like one more little mini run here. And the Camel Clutch gives the advantage and the win to none other than the Iron Sheik, aka Colonel Mustafa. We move to the Undertaker. Undertaker, through Paul Bearer, promises to bury everybody. Also focusing on the Ultimate Warrior. Rockers talk about being dissatisfied for not getting championship matches. Marty Jannetty doing a lot of the frustrated talk there. We can kind of see the beginning hints of a turn from the Rockers. Not quite yet. That turn in full motion in about 6 months' time. Debut of the Beverly Brothers promised next week. But as for us, we are out of here for now. Till next week, we will be back with more action. And we've got over 700 audios worth checking out. So continue to do that. Keep your feet on the ground, your mind in the moment.